I transmigrated into a tragedy novel, and the system made me work like a dog, selflessly sacrificing everything, only to die in the end and make them regret it for the rest of their lives. I asked, the ultimate goal is to make them regret it, right? The system said. Yes, I said, that makes it easy. On the first day of crossing over, when the male lead bullied me, I beat him until he was crawling on the ground, making him regret ever being born into this world. The system was shocked. How could you do this? I asked. Just tell me, does he regret it or not? I transmigrated into a dead man's literature. The female lead is named Bella, the true heiress who was switched at birth, gentle and silent. She works tirelessly for her family and fiancé, giving everything, yet is disliked by everyone. The family favors the fake heiress, Sarah. Her fiancé Barrett also prefers the fake heiress and dislikes Bella. Later, Bella got cancer and couldn't be cured. She hoped her family and Barrett would spend her last birthday with her. On her birthday, Sarah suddenly fell ill, and everyone went to take care of Sarah. Bella sang the birthday song alone, wishing herself a happy birthday, then pack up everything and run far away, dying in a shabby rented room. Upon learning of Bella's death, everyone suddenly fell into a fit of regret like epilepsy. Her parents wept bitterly. Her brother was filled with remorse, and the male lead roared with reddened eyes. They were in tears, hoping Bella could come back, but Bella could never return. They finally learned their lesson, regretting it for the rest of their lives and becoming better versions of themselves. The system narrated with emotion, whispering, woo-woo, so touching. I had countless, what the F***ck, thoughts in my mind, unsure if I should voice them. I steadied myself and asked, so, I become Bella now? The system says, yes. Your task is to follow the plot. Use the most tragic death to make the characters in the story regret, and collect the full amount of regret value, especially in the birthday scene. You must perform well, portray the sorrowful gaze, the faint tremor in your voice, and the humble feeling of longing for something unattainable. After being humiliated, endure the tears silently, wish yourself a happy birthday alone on a stormy night, then pack your belongings and leave. By the way, before leaving, you must endure the pain to clean the house thoroughly, arrange your things neatly to avoid causing trouble for your family, then carry your belongings to the rental house and wait for death alone in solitude. I waved my hand. It's so hard, I can't act it out. The system asked, aren't you the best actress? I said seriously, I got it through backdoor connections. I have no acting skills at all. The system was shocked. Then what should we do? The plot has to move forward. If the characters in the story don't feel regret, we won't collect enough regret points, and the entire small world will collapse. Woo-woo, I comforted it. The ultimate goal is to make them regret it and collect regret points, right? System, yes. Me, we don't have to strictly follow the plot, do we? System, right? I snapped my fingers. That's good, let's get started. I opened my eyes. The fake heiress Sarah was sobbing in Barrett's arms, while I stood silently in the hallway. Bella, why did you push Sarah down the stairs? You're really terrifying. The male lead, Barrett, holds Sarah and condemns me, with a long progress bar above his head that reads, regret value. The current regret value is 0. At this point in the story, the female lead, Bella, has been back home for 2 years and has given a lot for him. Barrett remains completely unmoved, yet he feels at ease enjoying Bella's efforts. Not only that, but whenever Sarah cried a little, he would humiliate and blame Bella. He has tormented the female lead for so long, yet he doesn't feel any remorse at all. Scumbag, don't blame Bella. She just pushed me lightly. She didn't expect me to get hurt this badly. Sarah's face was pale, her brows furrowed in pain, and she almost fainted. Barrett panicked immediately, calling out Sarah's name loudly as if she were about to die. I watched expressionlessly for a moment, then took out my phone and dialed 110. Hello, police. There's a case of intentional homicide at Cloud Community, Unit 2B. The victim was pushed down the stairs by the perpetrator, severely injured, and is about to die. Please come to the scene as soon as possible. Hearing my voice, Sarah's body stiffened, and her groans ceased. Barrett remained unaware, still flustered and anxious, ready to carry her to the hospital. I called an ambulance again. Hello, is this the ambulance? Someone at Cloud Community, Unit 2B. Has fallen down the stairs and is seriously injured, about to die. Please come as quickly as possible. Sarah quickly stood up and said, no need to call the police or an ambulance. I'm fine. I walked over and held her shoulders. No, you're hurt. I'm fine. You are. I held her firmly and said to the furious Barrett, "What are you standing there for? Sarah fell down the stairs and needs to lie flat on the ground immediately, or her injuries could get worse." Barrett paused for a moment and said, "Right, Sarah needs to lie flat." He quickly pinned Sarah to the ground. Sarah had no choice but to lie down helplessly. I rushed into the kitchen, grabbed a bunch of ice packs, and threw them all at Sarah. Sarah screamed, "What are you doing?" I shouted loudly, "Don't be afraid. Using an ice pack can slow down the injury." Then I grabbed a frozen, rock-hard ice pack and pressed it firmly against her face and neck. Sarah let out a pig-slaughtering-like scream. Barrett flew into a rage, slapped me hard, and shoved me forcefully. "Get away." I was pushed by him and fell to the ground, my elbow hitting the floor. My entire arm was in pain, and my cheek was burning. Wow, what a scumbag. How dare he hit me? Without thinking, I rushed forward and slapped him several times, sending the unsuspecting Barrett spinning like a top. The system screamed, "What are you doing? You actually hit the male lead." "He hit me first. I'm just defending myself," I said in my mind, continuing to slap the dazed Barrett repeatedly. "How dare you hit me? How dare you hit me? Die, die, die." Barrett finally came to his senses and shouted angrily, "Bella." I slapped him again. "How dare you hit me, you son of a." I slap him again. "How dare you hit me?" No more hitting. I continue slapping. "How dare you hit me?" No matter what Barrett says, I keep slapping him, repeating, "How dare you hit me?" Using a crude brainwashing method. Associate, let you hit me with being hit, creating a strong psychological suggestion. Make Barrett understand. Hitting me will result in a slap. Barrett finally fought back, grabbing both of my hands. I had practiced martial arts before, but unfortunately, having just crossed over, my body hadn't adapted yet, and Barrett successfully resisted. He slapped me hard across the face again. "A despicable man who hits women. How dare you hit me?" I screamed, biting down on Barrett's finger with all my might, holding on with every ounce of strength in my body. "Ah!" Barrett let out an earth-shattering scream. Let go now." I held on firmly, refusing to release my grip. If I didn't make him suffer to the extreme, he would never regret it. Barrett cursed furiously. The more he cursed, the harder I bit. Eventually, he could no longer cry out. Sarah lay on the ground, hesitating whether to get up and help, but helping would ruin the seriously injured act, so I still lay there, not getting up. She sent the servants away before framing me, clearly intending to leave me with no way to defend myself. Now that there was no one in the room, no one could save Barrett. Barrett was helpless and in agony, his face twisted in pain. At that moment, the progress bar above his head suddenly advanced a small notch, and the regret value turned to 5. He cried out in agony, all right, it's all my fault. Bella, let go." Only then did I release my bite. The system had been screaming for quite a while. I sighed. "Stop making noise. What are you shouting about? Is there anything wrong with what I did? System, you've completely ruined the plot like this. The ultimate goal is to make him regret it, right?" I said. "Just tell me, does he regret it or not?" The system checked Barrett's progress bar and was speechless for a moment. "Is this even possible, Bella? How dare you bite someone?" Just as Barrett rolled up his sleeves to deal with me, the sound of a police siren echoed from outside. The police car roared all the way, arriving at Unit 2B with great fanfare. The entire neighborhood was startled. There is never a shortage of onlookers in the world. Neighbors and passers-by all gathered in front of the villa to watch. The servant outside rushed into the house and nervously reported to Barrett. Barrett had no choice but to withdraw his hand, his face darkening. The police rushed into the house. "Where are the victim and the killer? Everything is here." Bella pushed Sarah down the stairs, causing Sarah to be seriously injured. Barrett pointed at me angrily but froze the moment he saw me, because I was already lying on the ground, frowning, with a pale face, crying out, "It hurts, help, it hurts." Barrett was shocked. The police immediately asked, "What's wrong with you?" I shakily raised a finger, pointing at Barrett, and said, He hit me, woo-woo." The police officer's expression suddenly darkened. Barrett was stunned and hurriedly explained, "No, she hit me and bit me. I didn't hit her." At that moment, Sarah knew something was wrong and quickly said, "I can testify that Bella kept slapping Barrett, and Barrett was being beaten the whole time." Lies. I burst into tears, sobbing softly. Barrett is my fiancé. The two of them were getting too close. And I caught them. I put on a sorrowful expression, pausing at a suggestive point, then continued, "Officer, Sarah and Barrett are in cahoots. Her words can't be trusted." The officer looked a bit confused. "We were called here earlier because someone reported a fall from a building." He said he would start with the case of the fall and then discuss the matter of who hit whom between Barrett and me. Barrett immediately pointed at me and said, "She pushed Sarah down the stairs." I cried and said, "It wasn't me, officer. I was the one who called the police. Sarah fell down the stairs and was about to die, and she said someone pushed her, so there must be a murderer in this house, which is why I called the police. They all think I did it, and they even hit me, woo-woo." The officer put away his expression and asked, "Is there any surveillance footage?" Barrett was taken aback for a moment. Sarah's body stiffened slightly. At that moment, Lucy stepped out from the side and said, "Officer, for easier management, this villa has many surveillance cameras installed. The police went to check the surveillance footage." I chuckled to myself, thinking the police were indeed good at their job, getting straight to the point as soon as they arrived. While reading the novel, I was puzzled. The female lead was falsely accused, and such a large villa. Could it really have no surveillance cameras? A normal wealthy family would have installed them, right? But in the novel, everyone seemed to have collectively lost their minds, not mentioning this issue at all, and instead just hurled accusations at the female lead, blaming her relentlessly. The female lead could only endure in silence and weep. Forced plot points that create misery made me roll my eyes. Fortunately, the rest of the world is normal. Lucy installed surveillance, and the police will check the footage. Seeing the police actually head to the surveillance room, Barrett glared at me with a "you're dead, bitch" expression. I chuckled at him. Sarah's face turned extremely pale. This time it was truly pale. After all, she was about to be exposed. Woo-woo. The room fell into silence as the ambulance arrived. Doctors and nurses carried a stretcher into the house and paused for a moment at the sight inside. "Where is the injured person?" the doctor asked. Sarah immediately coughed twice to indicate that she was the injured one. I also covered my mouth and coughed. When it comes to performing, I'm a professional. The doctor quickly examined both me and Sarah. After a brief emergency check, the doctor said, "No major issues have been found with either of you for now, but just to be safe, you should go to the hospital for further examination." Barrett breathed a sigh of relief and comforted Sarah, saying, "It's good that you're okay." Sarah nodded uneasily. I exclaimed in surprise, "Oh, so Sarah is actually fine. She looked so weak earlier. I thought she was about to die." Sarah bit her lip and glared at me angrily. "Nonsense." Barrett immediately chimed in, looking at me as if I were an unreasonable piece of trash. "We won't know the specifics until she's examined at the hospital. What are you being so sarcastic about, scumbag? Just you wait, I'm going to kill you," I said. "Since neither of us has any major issues, why don't we wait for the police to check the surveillance footage before leaving?" Barrett flew into a rage. "Bella, you're so vicious. Do you want Sarah to suffer to death?" Sarah immediately groaned twice, tugging at Barrett's sleeve and saying, "Barrett, I'm in so much pain. Let's hurry to the hospital. She really wants to leave. After all, the police will review the surveillance footage and then it'll be a public execution. I won't let her have her way." Hiding behind the doctor, "Wah, Barrett wants to hit me again." "Bella, who wants to hit you? Don't throw shade," Barrett said angrily. Sarah pulls Barrett, urging him to leave, but Barrett was so angry that he refused to leave. Wiping my tears, I said, "Barrett, you're terrifying. You dared to yell at me even with the police still at the scene. I'm your fiancé." Hearing this, Barrett ignored Sarah and quickly said, "If you behaved properly and weren't so despicable, I wouldn't yell at you." With red-rimmed eyes, I questioned him. "How have I not behaved properly? How am I despicable? You're the one who's my fiancé but cheated with Sarah. You're the one who's dishonest and despicable, aren't you?" These words completely enraged Barrett, who flew into a rage and started cursing, repeating the same old lines. "You're just a country bumpkin with no manners. You always bully Sarah. You're wicked-hearted. You want to take everything." These were phrases Barrett and his family had hurled countless times in the novel, and in his fury, he blurted them out without hesitation. Because he was so used to saying them, Barrett didn't see anything wrong with it and failed to notice the change in the expressions of those around him. I burst into tears. "See, this is how he treats me all the time." The crowd's gaze at Barrett had already turned hostile. Only then did Barrett realize and quickly defended himself. "I'm telling the truth." Unfortunately, no one listened to him. They only saw that I was injured, crying weakly, while he harshly criticized me, the one who had been hurt, with a terrible attitude. After a while, the police officer checking the surveillance footage returned and said calmly, "The matter has been clarified. Sarah intentionally fell on purpose to frame Bella." The video and audio recordings are both very clear. What? Impossible. Sarah wouldn't do something like this. Barrett couldn't believe it and shook his head in denial, still trying to argue in the face of the facts. The police officer's gaze was cold, unwilling to give up. Barrett went to check the surveillance footage himself. Shortly after, he returned looking utterly dejected and stared at Sarah in shock. "Why would you do this?" I. Sarah couldn't explain clearly and suddenly clutched her abdomen. "It hurts. It hurts so much." Barrett didn't have time to press further and quickly asked the doctor to take her to the hospital. I said, "Barrett, the facts are right in front of you. You defended Sarah earlier, hitting and scolding me. Does your conscience hurt?" Barrett stiffened, didn't answer, and helped Sarah onto the stretcher. The regret progress bar above his head moved forward a bit, and the number changed to 7, only 7. I laughed in frustration and said to the system in my mind, "See, he knows he wronged me, but only produced 2 points of regret. I don't think his regret value would suddenly rise to 100 if I died. If I follow your suggestion, I probably won't be able to collect any regret value." The system remained silent for a moment and said, "How do you know without trying? I can't be bothered to argue with it." So I quickly cover my arm. It hurts. Barrett hit me so hard." Barrett turned around angrily and said, "Who hit you? You were the one who hit me first, and now you're trying to shift the blame." The police officer said, "Mr. Hey, the surveillance footage shows that Bella was treating Sarah's injury with an ice pack. You were the one who pushed Bella first, and she fought back." The situation then escalated into a mutual fight. A mutual fight. A man hits a woman first, and the woman fights back. "Is that really a mutual fight?" someone muttered quietly. Barrett froze, only then remembering that he had pushed me earlier. I cried, tears streaming down my face like pear blossoms in the rain. "Officer, I want to report Barrett for hitting me. He must go to jail." The facts were clear, and the officer stepped forward to announce that Barrett would be detained. Barrett had never expected things to turn out this way and was completely dumbfounded. The system was also dumbfounded. "You sent the male lead to jail," I said calmly. "What else? Just take the beating for nothing. If he doesn't go to jail, will he ever regret it?" As soon as the words fell, the regret progress bar above Barrett's head swiftly rose to 20. The system, holy shit, it rose so fast. I rolled my eyes. "See, he knows he wronged me, but only felt 2 points of remorse. When I threatened him with jail time, his remorse immediately shot up to 20. The system fell silent. I lay down in the ambulance and thought to myself, "System, do you know why prisons and punishments exist in this world?" System, why, me? Because people are inherently inclined to bully the weak and fear the strong. The vast majority of wrongdoers do not feel remorse unless they face consequences. Look at those corrupt officials and rapists shedding tears of repentance in court. Do you think they genuinely regret their actions? Wrong. They only regret it because they've been sentenced and must face terrible consequences. If they had gotten away with their crimes, they would never feel remorse. The system seems thoughtful. Me, in tragic romance stories, the female lead dies, and suddenly the male lead and his family are overwhelmed with regret. This is clearly unrealistic. How could people who don't love you possibly feel regret or pain? Only those who love you would suffer. So here's the question. If someone truly loves you, how could they bear to mistreat you so badly while you were alive? Those who mistreat you don't love you, so trying to make them regret it through your death is bound to fail. Even if they feel guilty for a day or two, they'll quickly forget about you. Many girls think of using death to punish their boyfriends, but this behavior is misguided. A man might shed a few tears and then forget her, while the real suffering is left to those who truly loved her. That's why we have laws and prisons in this world, because our predecessors understood long ago that only by making people face punishment can they truly feel regret. You want me to endure silently and eventually die to collect regret points, but that might not complete the mission. I lay in the ambulance, chattering away to the system. The system listened quietly and finally said, "You have a point, but I think they will definitely regret it if the female lead dies. How about we make a bet?" "What's the bet?" "I bet that I'm about to die, and we'll see if they regret it or not." "Alright, if I win, you'll lose 10 years of your lifespan. If you win, I'll give you 100,000 points. 100,000 points can get you back to the real world, which is equivalent to 1 billion. My eyes lit up. "Deal. It's a deal. After making a bet with the system, I went to the hospital for a full checkup. Sarah has minor bruises, but she's generally fine. However, I was diagnosed with a minor fracture in my arm. It can't be a fracture, can it? I wondered. The system said. The day before yesterday, the female lead's brother pushed her, causing her to fall down the stairs and fracture her bone. She endured it silently without saying anything, and only found out during a hospital checkup today. I responded with an, "Oh, well, that's perfect, no matter who did it. Just blame it on Barrett. This blame must be pinned squarely on that scumbag's head." Medical examination results. I have a fracture, and Sarah has minor bruises. Police investigation findings. Sarah pretended to fall to frame me. Despite this, I held no grudges and used an ice pack to help alleviate Sarah's injuries. However, Barrett mistakenly thought I intended to harm Sarah and, in anger, struck me first. I retaliated, leading to a mutual altercation. My physical strength is inferior to Barrett's, as he is male, and I ended up with a fracture. As a result, I cried and reported Barrett, demanding that he be sent to jail. Because I refused to forgive, Barrett was detained and actually put in prison. He was completely stunned, and the regret meter in his head advanced to 30 again. The Davidson family is highly prestigious in the country, and with the eldest son, Barrett, being arrested, reporters immediately rushed to the scene to interview. Many people were watching when it happened, and they all stood by my side, looking down on Barrett for hitting a woman. News is everywhere, and Barrett is left embarrassed and humiliated. The system says his regret meter has risen to 50 again. I laughed out loud when I heard it. It seems this guy really cares about saving face, regretting being reported by a journalist by 20 points, more than regretting being hit or wronged. Hehe, since they care so much about face, I won't miss the chance to collect regret points. The police issued a statement on the incident, which quickly spread across the internet. The gossip contained in it was very attention-grabbing. The person Barrett fought with was a woman, Bella, his fiancée. What a shocking piece of gossip. Countless reporters rushed to the hospital to interview me. I cried pitifully in front of the camera, recounting the entire incident. Hashtag Barrett and fiancé arrested for mutual assault hashtag has become a trending topic. A man getting into a physical altercation with his fiancée over another woman is bound to attract attention online, even if you were an ordinary person, let alone someone as high-profile as Barrett. Countless netizens flocked to Sarah and Barrett's social media accounts to mock and criticize them, calling them a scumbag and a despicable woman. Upon learning this, Barrett's regret meter advanced to 60%. The system was dumbfounded. "Oh my God, host, you're amazing," I said. "This is just the beginning. The real show is yet to come." The system, "What real show?" I said. "Family. The Tang family hates Bella so much. They should regret it too. They're also targets to be won over." System, "Oh right. So what are you planning to do?" I said. "Did you forget how the female lead died?" System, "Cancer. Me, exactly. I'm at the hospital right now. It wouldn't make sense not to get a full checkup, would it, actually?" When I was taken back to the hospital by ambulance for a checkup, the doctor had already discovered that there was something else wrong with my body and asked if I wanted to do further tests. Of course I do. I will make good use of this cancer condition. These scumbags, I'm going to make them regret ever coming into this world. System, "I've finished the checkup. Let's start the bet." The system said. "All right, I think I can win." I smiled faintly without saying a word. The attending physician walked into my hospital room with a grave expression, handed me the report, and said, "Miss Tang, your test results are out." He paused and said in a sympathetic tone, "I'm sorry to tell you, but the test results are not good. It's a brain tumor." I looked up, showing a mix of shock, pain, hope, and sorrow. "Doctor, can it be cured?" The doctor sighed softly and told me the truth. "My brain tumor is already very large, pressing on nerves and blood vessels, making surgery almost impossible. In other words, I have 2 months left to live." 2 months, I see. I took the report, lowered my head slightly to look at it for a moment, and said while lying on the hospital bed, "Thank you, doctor." Everyone thought I was extremely pitiful, their eyes filled with sympathy. As soon as the doctor left, I picked up my phone and started browsing gossip, laughing so hard I doubled over at the funny parts. Before long, the ward door slammed open, and 3 people stormed into the room with an aggressive air. These 3 were the female lead's father, mother, and brother. Above each of their heads hovered a remorse meter, all currently at 0. The female lead had returned home 2 years ago, endured countless grievances, and sacrificed everything for them. Now that something had happened, they showed not a hint of regret. Hee. The three of them wore gloomy expressions, their eyes filled with anger, as if I had committed some heinous act. Dad, Mom, Brother, I called out weakly, my face pale and my breath shallow. Enough with the act, my brother sneered. Barrett barely pushed you, and you broke a bone. Who are you trying to fool? My parents also chimed in. Why did you have to report Barrett and get him detained, offending the Davidsons? Have you given any thought to the family's reputation and business? And Sarah, you've made such a scene without considering how Sarah will face others in the future. A few people are chattering away, all coming to blame me, urging me to drop the lawsuit and release Barrett. With no one showing a bit of concern for me, I'm utterly speechless, just a handful of scumbags, and the system expects me to slave away for them, selflessly devote myself, and then die to make them regret it. Forget it. With red-rimmed eyes, I said, it was Sarah who framed me first. Why are you blaming me? Dad said. Sarah said that because you always bully her. She got angry and did something foolish in the heat of the moment, I asked, and then you forgave her. You believe everything she says. Mom said, Sarah is innocent and kind, she wouldn't lie. I retorted, won't lie. Wasn't it her who fell down the stairs and framed me? Wasn't it her who lied and said I pushed her down? Wasn't it her who lied about being seriously injured? The three of them were left speechless. After a moment, my father angrily scolded, everyone makes mistakes. She only made one mistake, can't you forgive her? I said, it's not just one mistake. She often frames and accuses me, one moment saying I insulted her, the next saying I stole her things, and every time, you all side with her without a second thought. Nonsense, you're still slandering Sarah. My brother was extremely angry and yelled at me furiously. I stared at him intently. This is the person who caused the female lead to suffer a fracture, and now he has the nerve to bark at me. I took a quiet breath, restraining myself for the sake of the bet. Fine, let's not talk about the past. Since there's no evidence left, it's impossible to determine who was right or wrong. Let's just focus on the present. The police have already uncovered the truth. So why are you still blaming me? Father said. Family scandals should not be made public. You've made this known to everyone, tarnishing the family's reputation. That's your fault, Mother added. Also, Barrett is your fiancé, yet you're trying to sue him, causing him to be detained. Is that acceptable? Write a letter of forgiveness immediately and get him released. I retorted. Now you're admitting he's my fiancé. Wasn't he Sarah's fiancé? The two were left speechless. My brother rushed over and grabbed me by the collar. Enough is enough. Quickly write a letter of understanding to get Barrett out. Also, tell the media that you provoked Sarah first, which is why she retaliated. I was speechless. In those tragic romance novels, the female lead's family is always brain dead. Now I've experienced it firsthand. I swore to myself that I wouldn't let these three off, especially this brother. I'll make sure to give him special attention, the system said. Hurry and agree. As long as you issue a letter of understanding to release Barrett and help restore Sarah's reputation, these people will realize how good you are. Once you present the brain tumor report, they will surely regret it. I thought for a moment and said, all right, I'll do as you say. Let's see who wins the bet between us. The system, I'm definitely going to win. So, urged by my family, I took their pen and paper and quickly wrote the letter of understanding. The three of them finally looked relieved. At least you have some conscience. They left in a hurry after saying that. Before leaving, I asked them, I've done as you said, and you know Sarah wronged me, but you came in and scolded me with such a bad attitude. Don't you regret it at all? The three of them halted in their tracks. The regret value progress bars above their heads collectively increased by 1 point. They regret it. They regret it. The system exclaimed excitedly. I knew they would regret it. I rolled my eyes. Just 1 point of regret. The system paused for a moment and said, keep up the good work. Soon, Barrett came out of the police station, and the group went to the ward to see Sarah. They hugged each other in tears, completely forgetting that I was in the same hospital. Dad's secretary brought reporters to the ward for an interview, asking me to reveal the truth behind the scenes. The system, hurry and do as they say. Let them understand how patient and kind you are. Once they find out you have a brain tumor, their regret will definitely reach 100. Fine. For the sake of a bet, I followed my family's instructions and confessed to the camera. Actually, I was jealous of Sarah for stealing my fiancé. so I kept bullying and provoking her. That's why she impulsively framed me out of anger. The journalist finished the interview and left. Soon after, my apology video and interviews with my family were released online. My biological parents and brother all defended Sarah. At home, Bella has always seen Sarah as a rival and constantly gives her a hard time. Not only does she take her jewelry, room, and belongings, but she also frequently humiliates her with words. We've advised her many times, but Bella is too jealous and insists on driving Sarah away. After the video was posted, netizens were shocked. I knew there was more to the story. The family drama is so over the top. If only one person around Bella spoke ill of her, I might suspect that person was slandering her. But if Bella's entire family says the same, it's probably true. Sarah used extreme measures to frame Bella, and Barrett acted out of anger, which is understandable. If it weren't for Bella being so despicable, this whole mess wouldn't have happened. It's all because of that wretched Bella. After the video was released, Sarah and Barrett cleared their names. While I was bombarded with curses, amid all the external chaos, I ate some fruit and asked the system, has their remorse value increased? The system replied sheepishly, no. I said, see, even if I write a letter of understanding, ruining my own reputation to help them, they won't regret mistreating me. The system paused for a moment and stubbornly replied, they don't know you're about to die. If they see your report, they'll definitely regret it. Fine, then let them see the report. I said. 2 days later, after comforting the emotionally wounded Sarah, they came to the hospital room to take me home. It was Sarah who repeatedly asked us to come pick you up, so we did. You should thank her. Mom held Sarah's hand, turned to me, and spoke seriously, as if Sarah had done me an enormous favor. I kept a straight face, complaining to the system in my mind. Sarah walked pitifully to the hospital bed and said, Bella, can you forgive me? I was chatting with the system in my mind and didn't pay attention to her for a moment. In just a few seconds of silence, Sarah's eyes reddened, and she sobbed, lowering her head to wipe away tears. Is Bella unwilling to forgive me? My brother was furious. Bella, Sarah has apologized to you. What more do you want? Barrett also frowned and glared at me. Bella, the matter is over. Don't be so petty. Mom and Dad also said that harmony in the family leads to prosperity in all endeavors, and told me to stop making unreasonable demands. I listened with a cold, mocking laugh. What, am I obligated to accept her apology? Is it a crime if I don't? I felt like kicking them, but instead, I put on a pitiful expression and waited for them to finish scolding me before saying, I'm sorry, I'm a bit slow to react. I turned sideways to open the bedside drawer, took out the report, and said, I have a brain tumor. It's pressing on the nerves, so my reactions might be a bit slower. I hope you'll understand. I then gave Sarah a sorrowful smile and said, Sarah, I forgave you a long time ago. Please don't misunderstand. Everyone was stunned. Mom was the first to rush over and snatch the report. After reading the results, her face showed a look of shock. How could this be? Others also gathered around, and their reactions to the report results varied. Barrett said in disbelief, Bella, you have a brain tumor. How is that possible? You're still so young. Sarah asked, Bella, is this true? Her brother said suspiciously, could it be fake? Dad frowned, looking at me with a skeptical gaze. I laughed in anger. These people are actually doubting me. My fists are already clenched. I restrained myself and said, you can go ask the doctor. The family members asked the doctor with a mix of belief and doubt. Is Bella really diagnosed with a brain tumor? Is this report genuine? Could it be forged? The doctor, seeing everyone speculating and doubting one after another, said angrily, of course it's real. Are you suspecting me of fabricating it? No, that's not what we meant. Bella is not even 20 yet. How could she have a brain tumor? She used to lie a lot. What if she faked it herself? The doctor was furious. Who would joke about something like this? Your first reaction upon learning your daughter has cancer is to question it. Are you even fit to be parents? His words left them feeling thoroughly ashamed. I silently gave the doctor a thumbs up in my heart. My family confirmed that I wasn't lying and finally took it seriously. They quickly pressed the doctor for details about my condition, only to be told that I was beyond cure and had only 2 months left to live. They were instantly overwhelmed with grief. The regret value progress bars above their heads collectively surged forward, all rose to 90. The system was overjoyed and exclaimed, look, they regret it. I was right, woo-woo. I knew they would all regret your death. I wondered, this is just too strange. No matter how you look at it, The logic doesn't add up. Could it be that the world's consciousness is forcing them to regret? The system says. Anyway, they regret it. I win. I say, not yet. The regret value hasn't reached 100. The system says confidently. It'll reach 100 soon, afterwards. My family handled my discharge and took me home, knowing that I didn't have long to live. They were very considerate, constantly checking on me and hovering around me every day, neglecting Sarah. Sarah held a grudge and resorted to her old tricks, using underhanded methods to frame me. This time, my family and Barrett collectively evolved from being blind to having sharp eyes, without me needing to defend myself. They automatically found the flaws and reprimanded Sarah. You should know that after the female lead returned home for 2 years, Sarah's methods of framing her were not sophisticated, yet everyone acted like blind idiots, cursing the female lead while defending Sarah. Once the female lead was diagnosed with cancer, these people suddenly became neither deaf nor blind, transforming from idiots into smart individuals. It seems that the female lead having cancer is a miracle cure that can instantly treat idiocy, deafness, and blindness. With no transition period needed, the female lead worked like a slave for her family, gave everything, and ultimately died tragically. Such a plot is deeply moving, making these people suddenly realize their mistakes and become better versions of themselves. The system was moved to tears, feeling that victory was within reach. I was speechless. Really, I don't agree, but the progress bars of the few individuals don't lie, and I'm starting to doubt my own judgment, no matter how I analyze it. I feel I'm not wrong, yet the situation is indeed heading in the most illogical direction. After 3 days, the regret value of the few individuals hadn't increased at all, remaining stuck at 90 without any movement. I pondered, why isn't the progress bar moving? The system began to feel uneasy. Maybe it's because you're not dead, so their regret value isn't increasing. I said, then let's keep watching. A day passed. 2 days have passed. 3 days have passed. The regret value of the few people still hasn't changed at all, as if 90 is the limit and won't advance any further. The system refuses to give up, insisting that the time hasn't come yet. Perhaps when I'm about to die, their regret value will surge to 100. The condition of our bet was whether the family would reach a regret value of 100 when they learned the female lead was about to die, not after her death. So, for now, I haven't won, and the system hasn't won either. I didn't argue and continued to observe. That day, I wasn't feeling well and asked my brother to pour me a glass of water. My brother frowned, stood up, and poured me a glass of water, saying kindly, "Drink up." I noticed his subtle and swift change of expression and suddenly realized he was beginning to lose patience with me. "Thank you, big brother." I deliberately reached out with a trembling hand, taking the glass from him only after a long pause. My brother was still smiling, but the progress bar above his head had actually started to go backward. The regret value dropped all the way from 90 to 60. I just slowly took the water glass, and it actually caused his regret value to drop so much. The system screamed, "What's going on? Why is the progress bar going backwards? This isn't scientific," I said in my mind. He's getting impatient. Upon learning of my impending death, they did indeed feel regret and guilt, thinking they should make it up to me properly. But that guilt was weak and fleeting, unable to withstand the test of time, especially since they also needed to invest energy and time in taking care of me. As days passed, no matter how much regret and guilt they felt, it would eventually vanish. There are no dutiful children by a long sickbed, as the saying goes, even if the world consciousness forced them to become overwhelmingly regretful, as if struck by epilepsy. The world's operation must still follow basic logic. No matter how much they regret it, they will eventually return to the right path. Hate is hate. It's impossible to suddenly fall in love after finding out the female lead has cancer. Realizing this, I knew I was likely to win the bet and decided to turn the tables. I deliberately knocked over the water glass, splashing hot water onto my brother's clean shirt. He let out a startled cry and cursed angrily. "What the hell are you doing?" This is his true attitude towards the female lead, which he never concealed before. He restrained himself after she was diagnosed with cancer, but now that his patience has run out, he has reverted to his old ways. After shouting, he realized his attitude was inappropriate and forced a smile. "I'll go change my clothes." He still tried to maintain a gentle demeanor towards the patient, but the progress bar above his head kept ticking backward, dropping from 60 to 0. "Help me pour a glass of water," accidentally spilling it on his clothes. Such a small incident actually made his regret value drop from 90 to 0. showing how shallow that regret was. The system was stunned. Why did this happen? I smiled. I told you earlier, trash like them don't truly feel regret. I went up to the second floor and heard my brother's voice on the phone in the hallway. Why should I have to take care of her? It's not like I gave her a brain tumor. What does her illness have to do with me? Why do I have to give in to her all the time? It's so annoying. Whoever wants to take care of her can do it. I waited until he finished the phone call before emerging from the shadows and returning to my room. The system was distraught. How could this happen? I didn't speak. Actions speak louder than words. I don't think it's necessary to argue with it. Over the next few days, I intentionally or unintentionally had a few people do things for me and deliberately asked Barrett to accompany me, after being ordered around a few times. Their regret values quickly dropped. My parents' regret value became 50, Barrett's dropped to 60, the system said. Barrett still has a bit of conscience. I laughed. Did you forget how he got that 60% remorse value? I had to get him thrown in jail to earn it. The system fell silent. I smiled faintly and said with certainty, "You lost this bet." The system was speechless. I said, "Collecting regret points your way is completely useless. Now it's time to use my own method." The system never nagged in my mind again. It lost the bet and tearfully handed over 100,000 points to me. I gleefully pocketed them, waiting to exchange them for 1 billion in the real world, without any system constraints. I immediately wrote an article detailing the entire incident involving the real and fake heiresses, as well as how my family defended the fake heiress and bullied me. I also released the recordings from a while back where my family threatened me to help Barrett and Sarah clear their names. That's right, when they barged into the hospital room to force me to forgive Barrett and Sarah, I secretly started recording. When the secretary brought journalists for an interview and asked me to stick to the agreed-upon script, I also recorded it. These are all decisive pieces of evidence. When the time comes, I'll release everything online, catching everyone off guard. The entire internet was in an uproar. Netizens questioned, why suddenly reveal the truth? I posted my brain tumor test report and replied, because I'm about to die, and I don't want to die with grievances. All of you are blaming me. I haven't done anything wrong, yet I'll die with a crime on my name, while those who committed the crimes are living just fine. It's so unfair. The netizen was left speechless. People tend to sympathize with the weak, knowing that I am about to die and have suffered so much injustice. The internet erupted in outrage, with Barrett and Sarah being severely criticized. They used illegal means to whitewash their image, and now they are facing a backlash and being heavily criticized. The reputations of both the Davidson and Tang families have been affected. Some netizens said, "Look at how skilled they are at making threats. They must have done this kind of thing a lot. Why not investigate their companies?" Right, investigate. They must be investigated. Public sentiment is running high. Got the news? Mom, Dad, and my brother rushed home. Dad angrily said, "Bella, how could you go back on your word?" Mom was also trembling with anger. "After all the tolerance and kindness we've shown you these days, is this how you repay us?" My brother kicked the stool beside me hard and cursed, "You bitch. Why aren't you dead yet?" I watched them quietly, seeing with my own eyes the progress bars above my parents' heads drop from 50 to 0. See, they always claim to love me, but when it comes to reputation, even if it's the truth, they turn on me in an instant. The system said in my mind, their regret values have all reset to 0. I lost, and you won't win either. Give me back the points. I smiled slightly. Don't rush. After calming the system, I walked over to the three of them and said, "Why did you do this? You should ask yourselves." The three of them were stunned. "What?" I said. "Who told you to abuse me, ignore me, hit me, and scold me? I gave everything for you, but you never cared. This is your retribution. If you had treated me a little better, maybe I would have taken these things to the grave and never spoken of them. It's because you treated me poorly first that I did this." Beep beep beep. The regret value above the heads of several people changed from 0 to 20. I thought to myself, see. Only when they realize that hurting me will harm themselves will they truly regret it. The system retorted, "It's only 20. After all, the main event is yet to come," I said calmly, rising to return to my room, and began releasing the collected materials bit by bit, such as paternity test results, medical records, room layouts, and photos of jewelry and handbags. The entire internet was in an uproar. The public relations teams of the Davidson and Tang families desperately tried to defend themselves, claiming I was lying. However, I gradually released the evidence, leaving them speechless. I support Bella. the Tang family is disgusting, and Barrett is also disgusting. The paternity test came out long ago, which means the Tang family knew Sarah wasn't their biological daughter. They initially claimed Bella was an adopted daughter and didn't reveal Sarah's identity. It took them a long time to finally say Bella is their biological daughter, clearly showing favoritism. Sarah gets to act as the eldest daughter of the Tang family, while Bella has nothing. The engagement between the Davidson family and the Tang family was originally between Barrett and the eldest daughter of the Tang family. Now that the real daughter is back, the two of them are still involved with each other and even beat Bella up. After the beating, they forced Bella to record a video admitting she was jealous of Sarah and deliberately provoked her into taking action. Is this something a decent person would do? Public opinion overwhelmingly condemns the Tang and Davidson families. Sarah and Barrett didn't dare to go out at all. My family was overwhelmed and tried to pressure and bribe me into not releasing any more evidence. But I paid no attention, always replying with, "You brought this on yourselves by bullying me. If you knew this would happen, why did you do it in the first place?" The situation for the Tang and Davidson families is getting worse, and everyone is criticizing them. Under such torment, the regret value of the several individuals soared from 20 to 60, leaving them deeply remorseful. The system was dumbfounded and speechless. I went to the hospital for another checkup and learned that I had only a little over half a month left to live. After leaving, I made up my mind to collect regret values as quickly as possible. If I die and the regret still doesn't reach 100, then my mission fails, and I'll end up with nothing. Back when I had the car accident, I was on the verge of death, and only then did I bind with the system to start the mission. If I can't complete it, I'll remain a vegetable in the real world forever. Then let's make things more exciting. The system said nervously. What are you going to do? I laughed. Isn't my birthday coming up? It's time for the final plot. My family and I are at odds, and no one cares about my birthday. Just like in the novel, Sarah suddenly had a stomachache, and the whole family went to the hospital to take care of her, completely ignoring me. I ate the birthday cake alone, finished singing the birthday song, and quietly went back to my room. At 2 a.m., I walked into my brother's room with a kitchen knife, while they were at the hospital. I calmly put sleeping pills in the water dispenser and my brother's cup. My brother likes to sleep with the door open, which made it easier for me to act. I walked into his room, and he was lying on the bed, sleeping soundly. I raised the kitchen knife and swung it down in one swift motion. Ah! My brother let out an earth-shattering scream, jolting awake completely, clutching his wound and rolling around in pain. Bella, what are you doing? Are you crazy? I smiled and said, yes, I am indeed crazy. Who told you to hit and scold me back then? Now I want my revenge. Dear brother, do you regret it now? I raised the knife and moved closer. My brother showed an expression of extreme fear, and the progress bar above his head quickly rose from 60 to 100. A mechanical voice echoed in my mind. Successfully completed the strategy for brother. Beginning to collect regret value. Oh, finally succeeded. I breathed a sigh of relief and put down the knife. My brother cursed at me, using the most vicious words. I had already collected enough regret value, completely ignored him, and turned to leave. His scream was so piercing that it woke everyone in the villa. When I walked out, my parents and Sarah had just rushed to my brother's door. Bella, what have you done? They were terrified when they saw the knife in my hand. I ignored him. The parents rushed into the room and were shocked to find that their son had been castrated. Bella, how could you do this to your brother? The father grabbed a nearby stool and raised it as if to strike. I quickly dodged behind the stunned Sarah, holding a knife to her neck. Take one more step, and I'll kill her. Dad froze. After checking on my brother, Mom heard the commotion behind her and let out a piercing scream. Bella, why did you do this? Why? I sneered. Because you abused me. Insulted me, ignored me, and favored Sarah. Since I'm going to die anyway, I might as well get my revenge before I go. Mom, Dad, my brother's family line is cut off. I'm about to die, and Sarah is a bastard. No matter how much money you make in the future, it will all go to others. How does it feel to be left with no descendants? I know what they care about and deliberately provoke them. Ah. Mom held her head as the regret value on it soared. Dad's regret value is also rising. Both of them stopped at around 90. Only 90. I raised an eyebrow and slashed Sarah's face hard with a knife. Sarah screamed. Her mother immediately cried out her name in distress, begging me to spare her. This is revenge. I'm going to make you regret it, I said. Mom's regret value quickly rose from 90 to 100, successfully strategized against Mom. a mechanical voice sounded. I looked at Dad. The progress bar above his head moved 5% and then stopped. Haha, Dad is so heartless. I slashed another cut on Sarah's face. Mom screamed and fainted, but Dad still didn't react. Seems like he doesn't care about Sarah that much after all. I threw Sarah aside with disinterest, turned around, and ran downstairs. I got into the car that had been prepared in advance and drove out of the villa area. Once I reached a secluded spot, I sent the prepared email to the relevant authorities. After that, I held up my ID card and recorded a video. I, Bella, am reporting the Tang family for tax evasion, bribery, and corruption. Since Dad doesn't value his children, his career is what he values most. I will destroy everything and see if he regrets abusing me. After the video was released, the internet exploded. The buzz around the true and fake heiress incident was already high, and with my move, the Tang family had no time to react before the video I reported spread all over the internet. The evidence is conclusive. Dad's company is definitely going to go bankrupt. Successfully strategized against Dad, a mechanical voice echoed in my mind. It seems Dad has completely regretted it. Humming a tune, I drove to Barrett's villa, called him, and asked him to come out. I won't come out, Barrett said in a harsh tone. He must know the news from the Tang family and doesn't want to see me. I threatened, not coming out. Then I'll post all the evidence of the Davidson family's tax evasion online. Barrett fell silent for a moment, then said through gritted teeth, "Where do we meet?" I gave a location, the top floor of a tall building. Upon reaching the top floor, I attached a camera to my chest and connected it to the live stream. System, what is Barrett's regret value? 80. System response, only 80. A scumbag who won't shed a tear until he sees the coffin. Since he's so hard-hearted, I'll go all out and complete the conquest directly. Barrett had to come out and arrived at the place I had arranged. He must have heard about me cutting off my brother's genitals and slashing Sarah's face. He was holding a fruit knife and was dressed very thickly, probably wearing a bulletproof vest underneath. "What do you want?" he asked coldly, his eyes filled with vigilance and malice. I chuckled lightly. "You finally came. Why bring a knife? Am I that scary, Bella? Quickly hand over the evidence of tax evasion." He threatened with a raised knife. I asked him sorrowfully, "Did you ever love me?" He immediately replied, "No, never. I love Sarah." I said, "If you love her, why didn't you refuse me back then? Why not break off the engagement? Maybe I would have given up then." Barrett was speechless. I asked again, "Have you ever regretted treating me that way?" Barrett pressed his lips tightly together, the progress bar above his head not moving at all. "So you don't regret treating me that way? Fine. I get it." I chuckled lightly and patted my pocket. "The evidence is right here. Come and get it if you dare." Barrett noticed that I was unarmed and immediately charged at me. "Give it to me." "No." Barrett and I struggled, gradually moving closer to the railing. In desperation, Barrett pushed hard, and I fell over the railing, plummeting from the high rise. "Bella." Barrett was stunned and rushed over frantically, trying to catch me. But I had already fallen. "No, no, no," Barrett yelled in fear. Why the fear? Because he became a murderer. Beep beep beep. The progress bar above his head quickly rose to 100. I smiled as I fell. "System, if you must use death to punish scumbags, someone like me is the best choice. By the way, before you leave, you have to endure the pain and clean the house. Arrange your things neatly to avoid causing trouble for your family. Then take your things to the rental place and wait alone for death in solitude." In the novel, the female lead died of cancer. And everyone regretted it. "Look, now that I'm dead, they will surely regret it." The system sighed. "You win," a mechanical voice sounded. "Fiancé conquest completed. The host has successfully completed the task." Calculating points. The host has earned a total of 40,000 points. As agreed, the host used 30,000 points to exchange for a healthy body and will awaken in the real world. The host has 110,000 points remaining, with 100,000 points exchanged for 1 billion renminbi, leaving a final balance of 10,000 points. 10,000 points can be exchanged in the mall. "Would you like to proceed with the exchange?" I said. "No, I'll exchange them later." I smiled, closed my eyes, and plummeted downward. The Davidson family was found guilty of tax evasion and corruption, leading to their complete downfall. Dad's career was ruined overnight, and he was left with a massive debt. Mom went from being a wealthy lady to a debt-ridden pauper. Brother went from a rich kid to a poor eunuch. Barrett was imprisoned for murder and economic crimes, sentenced to 15 years. The Davidson family collapsed. Sarah's appearance was ruined, and her reputation was tarnished. To protect herself, she took the family's remaining cash and ran off with a young man, claiming she wanted plastic surgery. However, she was trafficked along the way and has since disappeared without a trace. They regret it every single moment. If only I hadn't been biased back then. If only I hadn't brought Bella back. If only I had treated her better after bringing her back. Things wouldn't have turned out like this. If only everything could start over, that would be great. They were all educated, became better versions of themselves, and regretted it for the rest of their lives. After hearing the story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.